Hello and welcome back to a bonus episode of the Chance Cube, where we are going to have a quick review of how our pre-release event went on Friday, because of course we were super excited. We went through some tips and we went through some likely plans based on the common and uncommon cards that we might encounter. We had a fantastic time, a really great evening. Some really cool decks got built on the evening. We had some great games as well. And so we thought we'd just bring you some highlights and also just some lessons learned from maybe some things we might take into the next pre-release event. So yeah, as ever, I'm joined by Patrick, and of course pre-release event is just pretty standard for the start of a new Star Wars set, and it always just generates that exciting feel. There was something in the air on Friday, wasn't there? The new cards and the smell of the cardboard. I'm assuming you had fun.
Oh yeah, it was great. It was great. I think it was a sold out event from where we play at Dark Star, so that was amazing. I think everyone was really hyped. Everyone's laughing, joking. There was big excitement on who opened what, and then almost silent while we got the deck built. There was like 4 minutes to split. There was like 4 minutes to go, and we're like, okay, I've still got 50 cards. So let's make some cuts.
Absolutely. It was mostly silent. What I will say is there were a couple of people I could hear tutting and whispering around me about how bad their leaders were that they'd pulled in their packs, and I will say I was one of them.
I think that's always the risk. It's always the risk.
Yeah, I mean, it's weird in a way. I mean, we'll come on to the different lists, but I was happier with my list than I was my leaders. And that, I think the leaders in a way almost kind of characterized the evening. There were some leaders we thought would be good, and they weren't that good. There were some leaders that we thought, basically just turned out different than we expected. And some of us ended up having to play leaders just so we could play the best cards in our pool. Which always makes for an interesting evening as well. So it was super fun. And yeah, we're going to basically take you through Patrick's list, and we're going to take you through mine as well. And we also managed to get a sneak peek of the winners list as well. And spoiler alert, it was neither of us two. So I guess maybe don't ever watch a pre-release video recorded by us clowns again. We'll have to give you some tips to how to get hold of the winner. But we are going to give you his list, which is the main thing. So let's jump right into it then. And we're going to start with Patrick's list. Take us through the journey you went through on Friday. What was in the first pack? Was there anything in the first couple of packs that made you think, I'm really going to play this, I'm going to play that? And yeah, talk us through the key decisions and perhaps some of the best cards, worst cards.
Sounds good. So, I mean, I've got to admit, going in, I don't think Third Sister was going to be on my list of top tier or top priority leaders. However, with the pool that you open up, you kind of just have to go with the flow, so to speak. All right, and I think much like we'll come on with David's list, your pool builds the deck, and then you hope to have a leader that you can play with it. And at least I'm quite lucky because obviously we all got a Maul, and it was between Maul and Third Sister basically. Pack one, however, was a Craving Power, and immediately I was like, well, I need to play this, because if we go back to the old adage of bread, I think it's pretty bomby and it is removal. So it was try and force this here. However, green villainy, I have 3 green villainy cards, okay, and one of them was Supremacy, which is the 12 cost legend.
Oh no.
Think you can play in sealed. But that's the beauty of this format. It's Craving Power. We just pay 2 extra and I can play it in a different list. And that worked out okay. I did get 2 old Dackers, and I did get some really nice Night Sister synergy with that as well. Multiple drawing of cards. The Infused Brawler coming out, I managed to attack with that as a 4/4. And then once the 2 experience counters had gone off it, old Darker come back, I had the Force, and there was some nice synergies came out. I think we had a good amount of removal. The Bendu on the top end, I think I only got to play it once. It is a big beefy unit that wins you the game when you play it, and that's exactly what happened in game 4. I played it and won the game 2 turns later. Yeah, that was pretty good. I think the removal package in blue and red was basically what sent me down that way. Shatterpoint, I had the card that had a Drain Essence. I had not the Force Lightning, I can't remember the one. When you pay the Force, it's a 1 cost, and then you deal 3 damage.
Sorcerous Blast, I think that's called.
Exactly, that one.
Yeah.
So I think removal is what basically built the deck for me. And then I had 2 off-color green cards. So I was like, well, these are both removal. I think they're both very bomby, and they both won me games, I think. So it was definitely worth shoehorning them into the list.
It looks like, was
Yeah,
it Protect the Pod? Is that the other one that you
protect the
splashed?
pod. Yeah,
Yeah.
protect the pod. Really nice with Watto. Is what I found. Got to do that a few times. I think I did it once with Watto and once with Old Darker. Both times, just doing 6 damage
Oh, that's real good.
to. Yeah, so it seems it was very good. I
Nice.
really liked it, and I got to crushing blow 2 porgs that were massive. So anytime you can crush a porg, it's a good day.
Yeah.
Um,
The
but
one that
eventually, I went.
comes in and
Yeah,
you can basically pay resources for it to be as big as you want, right?
yeah, and
That's
everybody does that, and then the crushing blow doesn't care. Crushing blow says you cost less
one.
than 2, you're going in the bin. Yeah.
Nice.
So on the night, like I said, I went 2-2, and game 1 was against Cal Kestis Green. Cal Kestis, I think, proved to be a little bit less powerful than we thought. I think there were 2 people playing them. I think both of them kind of went under 500 in the event. But really, my opponent mulliganed twice. Mulliganed and then kept obviously the next hand and didn't find anything under 2 costs, and she was running 9 of them in the list. So I think that's
Oh, that's
pretty unlucky.
unlucky. Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty unlucky. Which just meant for the first 2 turns, I kind of just ran away with it, and managed to keep the removal in hand until needed to play it. So I think I won that one quite handedly. It was pretty close, not pretty close. Game 2, Grand Inquisitor Blue. It turns out shielded units and limited are really powerful, especially if your leader is shielded. And yeah, I think it was very well played from Jake. I think he did really, really well. But yeah, Balin's Skull ended up with a shield. Obviously, the Grand Inquisitor had a shield, and I wasn't getting those value trades that you like. The value trades were not in my favor. So I think it was pretty close in the end, according to live totals, but the game didn't feel close at all. I was always fighting an uphill battle in that one, but fair play, not the end of the world. You go into game 3 against Obi Blue. I think we both thought Obi was going to be pretty powerful. I didn't see many people actually open it, to be fair. So yeah, I got to see that one playing an off aspect Praetorian Guard. So having Sentinel, being able to give the +1 counter from Obi onto that, which yeah, it was difficult to get through. And my opponent, brilliant player, Niall, he wins quite a lot of the weekly showdowns we do. Been playing a long time, very good. Did not eke a win there, so we are currently 1-2 at this point. And then game 3, we go into TALZIN, and I'm thinking, damn, I think TALZIN's really good. This is going to be an uphill battle. And TALZIN was really good, but a very similar thing to my opponent game 1. Mulligan, and then was a bit more back and forth, but the removal was in my favour. And this was the game where Old Ducker really went off. I had 2 Old Duckers. Eventually one died, and then the second one came in, did a very similar thing with the Infused Brawler. And then I played a Bendu, and it was
There's
GG
no coming
at that
back from
point.
that in sealed if you can get to the Bendu turn. So
Yeah, no, it was really good. Third Sister, actually, I think I just want to touch on Third Sister. I think coming out as a 5/4 on 5, basically guaranteeing that you get the 5 damage in at least once, it was actually proved to be pretty powerful. So I didn't hate my leader choice. I was umming and ahhing, I think, after game 3, like, oh, do I just swap with Maul? Is Maul going to be better? But that instinct was right. I think Third Sister was the way to go.
a lot of the removal in seal can be an ambush card, and so you knowing that it cannot be attacked, there is so much value in that in this format.
Yeah.
And to be fair, there could even well be value for that in constructed as well, because we can start to now we've started to play with these leaders even in these kind of little microcosms of a sealed format. We've started to use them now, and we're starting to get a feel for what could be good in constructed. And honestly, the amount of times that I got a little bit kind of I'd be like, oh, I'm going to attack that now, and it's got hidden. I was like, oh, okay, yeah, that's actually kind of annoying. And I think it is actually quite a good keyword, I think.
And annoying is the word. I think that is exactly it. It's evasion. We would talk about that. We're talking about bombs removal evasion. That's the third most important thing we think in limited, and it's stapled to your leader. So yeah, I was happy with the deck. I was happy with the gameplay. I've got no shame in losing 2 games to 2 very good players, and most importantly, had fun and got a Gungchi prestige in a carbonite pack. So
Oh,
life is
lovely.
good.
Yeah, I
Life
mean,
is good.
that's the thing is after these things, you just get to crack some of your own packs that you doesn't, you don't have to worry about the deck now. You just go, what can I
Yeah.
get in these packs? And I will say, we had some fantastic openings. We saw one of our friends open his carbonite box, and he got double showcase like new Vader, and that was just, it was so great to
Yeah,
be around for that.
the prestige. Yeah,
Yeah. Oh, sorry,
the
not
prestige.
showcase. Sorry, yeah, prestige. Yeah, yeah. But then he
But he
also
did open a
showcased
showcase.
Kit Fisto. Yeah, exactly.
Kit
So
Fisto,
like,
yeah.
his
It
box
was
was
a wild
wild.
box.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
great, and it was like he just kind of sat there with like 15 people, all just like watching him. It was
Oh,
great. And then one of our friends who doesn't really play Star Wars, but he buys the odd pack and mostly just plays Lorcana,
it,
opened exactly 2 packs and packed exactly 2 Grogu's. One of them was hyperfoil. So come
yeah.
on. And loads of people offered him money, and it was like, nah, I think I'll keep him. It's like, you're gonna use him? Nah, probably not. And it's like, oh, dude.
Hey, that's trading cards for you.
That's trading cards, and that's what pre-release night is all about. Is just those crazy pack openings. And there's a couple of people that you can just, if there's a couple of people I know, if a pack is being opened around them, I know it's going to be, I'm going to hear a lot of shouting and screaming, and it's just like, oh, he got this, he got that, and it's just that's what we open packs for. It takes you back to being a little kid, and it is a lot of fun. So yeah, it was really really good. We'll briefly look at my list then before we come on to the winners list, and I ended up having to pick a leader based on what was in my pool, because what was in my pool, I'm not complaining about my pool. My pool was amazing, and that's why I had to play green blue. I think in my first pack I had like a secretive sage, a Chirrut, and a Karis, and I was like, well, I'm playing blue then, aren't I? I just have to play blue. And then in my second pack, I got the Inquisitor's lightsaber, which I had tested with a little bit in some sealed kind of like test formats you can do on like Force
Online
Table and
things,
stuff. Yeah, and it was just so good because you punch up into the Force units, and sometimes you just slap it on like a 3-drop, and they can, in theory, out your opponent's leader in this format, in this particular set. So I was like, well, I have to play green. Then I got the 8th brother, and it's just like, I need to, and I'm gradually building all the cards I knew were good in this across those 2 colors. I got the Magistrate Scout, so I've got the Restore 2. I got 2 Maz Kanatas, so it's like, okay, again, she can go in a villainy deck if needed, and I've got loads of Force units, and she's basically a Fleet Lieutenant, which is one of the best cards in the Rebel package, for example. I then got double Night Sisters, so I'm like, I'm going to draw some cards here. And yeah, just green blue became what I had to play. I just had to play it. And after 4 packs, I still didn't have a villainy leader. And I was like, oh, I really need a villain. I need TALZIN. I need TALZIN. And then in pack 5, I got a Grand Inquisitor. And I had some kind of playable yellow cards to pair with the blue. And then in pack 6, I got Morgan Elspeth. So I was like,
it was
okay.
literally last pack, wasn't it?
Yeah. I was
because
like,
we were kind of sat on the same table, and I remember you opened the Grand Inquisitor, you're flicking through, you said, okay, it's not the end of the world, not the end of the world. Play a few of these off color, play these, and then finally got the command for villainy that you needed.
Yeah, I should say I was also hoping for Snoke. It was like, I just need either a command villainy or a vigilance villainy leader in any of my packs because of the pool that I have. And so Morgan in the end ended up just being an enabler, and at no point did I ever think she was a good leader for this format. And what you're about to find out when I recap my games can confirm, terrible leader for this format. What she did was that she was green. That was her best thing she did all night. She did some good things when I pumped her up with the Inquisitor's lightsaber. That was cool. But I at no point in the evening did I tap for her leader ability until the very end of game 4 when I'd already won, and I said to my mate I was playing, do you mind if I tap my leader because I haven't done it all night? Because I could. I finally had a keyword in my hand that was also on the board that hadn't died. And I nearly got it off in game 1. So in game 1, I was up against a Kanan green deck, which was actually quite a well-constructed deck. They actually managed to get lots of creatures and the odd kind of Spectre cards, so that there were shields that were around that were proving to be quite annoying. They were thankfully on very small creatures, so I was able to get some good value trades initially into the shields. Or if they were small enough in some situations, I could just hit base, and I know that like they aren't going to feel that excited about hitting me for 1 with like a Porg with a shield on it, for example. Where the game ended up becoming a lot more interesting was when just getting ready for the Kanan flip. Before that point, my opponent had been able to stop me from using my leader ability because I had an 8th brother in hand, and I had that little monkey thing that's like a 2/1 ambush. And on the 4 resource turn, there was something else I could have done, but I was like, if this monkey survives, then I'm going to play the eighth brother on 5 in sealed, and that's going to feel
God.
so good. And she claimed, and at the start of the 5 resource turn, she looked at my board for a little while, and then I could see her eyes drifting between my monkey and my leader, and she was like, "I'm going to kill your monkey," and I was like, "Okay." I'll tell you at the end of the game whether that meant anything. And then, yeah, the following turn I played the eighth brother. So that was a bit of a shame. But the card that came in clutch for me in this game was Nameless Terror, which,
Mm.
again, is something that if we're seeing loads of force units constructed wise, like that was a really,
Oh,
really high impact play. Really high impact. To play, basically, it's a 3 cost, 3/3. You play this, you can exhaust a chosen force unit.
yeah.
And she flipped Kanan. Oh, sorry, no, actually, on the Kanan turn, it was the turn after Kanan had been flipped, and I'd claimed. I basically just won the game because I could exhaust Kanan. I think I would have won the turn after, but it basically meant I won that turn because she couldn't like swing a leader into one of my guys because all she had left was some creatures basically. And then of course, if he'd have been able to attack, and it takes away everyone's force keyword, the ability for that to break the force chain would, I think, could be amazing. I'm
Yeah.
if that game had gone on for one more turn, him attacking for 3, even if I just hit like a unit that I didn't care about, just to take the force keyword away and break the force chain, she would have kind of been stuck with some of the cards that she had, for example. So that felt super cool playing that. And Karis as well also was super good in that game because I was waiting for Kanan to deploy and I threw Karis in to pop the shield, die, and then -2/-2 it, so that I think I got hit for like 3 or something very small because of that effect. So, I mean, she was another MVP for this evening. She was a massive MVP in game 2 because I was a bit lucky again. I think I played the same Cal. You played Cal Green? I played Cal Blue. So maybe
Yeah.
So I did play a different Cal player then. I had the exact answer to Cal on flip because I had a Night Sister Warrior and Karis. And so what I did was I threw the Night Sister Warrior into Cal. It died, I get a card. I already had a Karis on the board, and my opponent then played a Jedi Sentinel, which didn't actually have Sentinel because they didn't have the Force. I think that's the key. That's like the kind of loop, the hoop that you have to jump through for that.
Yeah.
But what I did was I just threw Karis into that because it's a 5/4. It killed me, and then I -2/-2 Cal, and he died like having done basically nothing, and that felt bad because it felt unlucky, and it kind of made me think, oh, you know what? Like in Constructed, I'm going to be able to do this with considerably more kind of, consistency, especially if TALZIN Red becomes a deck. But, I think that some of these Night Sister characters could go in the bottom end of an existing green-blue deck that just happens to run a 4-space. So, I don't know. I was, with Cal as a leader, it felt way too easy to out him. And I thought it's easy for me to out him in Limited. It's going to be even easier to out him in Constructed.
I think that was what we kind of decided at the end. When you've got such a small bum, when you've just got such a small amount of life total, it's so hard to stick around. And leaders have to do something. Leaders have to be impactful, as you'll kind of show in a minute. Yeah, exactly. As you'll sort of make a point in a moment. I think if your leader maybe did anything else, he probably would have got the next. Yeah,
I think
got the next game. Yeah.
So game 2 and I won games 1 and 2, and I will just one additional thing that was really cool in game 2 was a constructed lightsaber went on my opponent's Sorcerers of Tund. So it was like it had Sentinel, I think it was, and a shield, and I was like, oh man, what do I do? And then they claimed, and in my hand I had the Praetorian Guard, a Fallen Jedi, and the Sun, which is all of your characters get +2/+0 if you have the Force, and I had the Force.
Yeah.
And I needed some way of blocking this thing, so I threw down the Praetorian Guard and the Fallen Jedi, and none of my units were big enough to make the Praetorian Guard a Sentinel. And what I was able to do was I think I took some damage off this thing with the shield on it. And then I played the Sun and made my Sentinel massive in terms of how much it hits back for. I then did have to 2-for-1 into this thing to take it out later, but I was able to 2-for-1. Maz Kanata was hitting for like 6 because it had like a Inquisitor's lightsaber on it because of the Sun. And the Sun just felt awesome. Like the Sun won me that game because they went really tall on this shielded lightsaber unit, and then the Sun just came in and made everyone massive. So once I dealt with it, swinging for base was super easy. So that was cool. But once again, as you mentioned, my leader did nothing. So Game 3 was possibly one of the best games of Sealed I've ever played in my life, and it's against who I think I would say is probably our best player in store, and I don't think that many people would disagree with that. And he would probably feel really, oh, David, please, I don't want to embarrass him, but he came ninth at a PQ recently, so he's a great player, and games against him are always fantastic because he's so good. He makes you play better, and so we had this final turn. He was playing Ahsoka Red, where either of us could have won it, and we both had lethal on board, and it basically just came down to action economy. And I had been able to put the Inquisitor's lightsaber on Morgan, and she had been able to keep a lot of his Jedis in check. It kept Ahsoka in the leader deployment zone rather than the board, because he knew the second she got deployed, I would literally one-shot her with Morgan, because Morgan is a 3/5. Put an Inquisitor's lightsaber on it, she's a 4, I think 8 or 4/9. But crucially, if you attack a Force unit, you get +2/+0. So I can hit a Force unit for 6, and of course, Ahsoka is a 5/6. So I was able to kind of keep his leader in check. He had the space, and it was this incredibly well-balanced game where we both had kind of advantages in different areas, and it was like, how can you leverage that? And I got a Chirrut right near the end, and I nearly was able to win with 1 remaining health. And basically what won him the game was the fact that he had an Owen on board, and he threw the Owen into my Chirrut to kill it, restore 2, look at the top 5 cards of his deck to find a Force unit, and he found an Itinerant Warrior and healed 3. So that I then basically, the most I could get his base on was 26, and then he killed me with Anakin. So it was a fantastic game, and we both kind of felt like, yeah, if I had a TALZIN or a Snoke in that deck, I think I would have won, because I was so close to winning with kind of the board position that I had. The fact that my leader basically had no impact, I think, is kind of what cost me the game. So, there's that entropy of what happens in constructors sometimes. And I'm fairly proud of the fact that I did as well as I did without without activating my leader all evening. So there's pride in that. It's like you said, you got what you got. How far can I pilot this? How well can I play it? And that's kind of what it comes down to. And I won game 3 as well. So I was up against that Grand Inquisitor deck that you played. And again, I think I just had the right things at the right moment. So I was able to use Karis again to basically out something that was like effectively value, because it was more expensive than the Karis, but she's dead, so -2/-2, see you later. I had that 5 cost kind of creature, I can't remember what it's called, but when you play it, you deal 1 damage to a ground unit, so I was able to ping one of his shields off and add a 5/4 to the board. I had a Secretive Sage, so when the Grand Inquisitor flipped, I just traded shields with it, and then I hit it with Morgan with the lightsaber, so I was able to out the Force units. So I kind of had the right pieces at the right time. But then, you still got to pilot it well. So I'm proud of how I played in that game, and I went 3-1, came 3rd with a deck where I never activated my leader. So that's, to me, the real quiz, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
So yeah, we will have a quick look at the winners list then, which obviously was better than mine. And yeah, Patrick, you had a chance to chat to the winner about some of his games. You want to talk us through about what you learned from his evening, and some of the key pieces that you found. It was TALZIN Green, which, by the way, I would have killed to be able to play that pairing.
Well, I think we're all, first of all, we're just proud moment. Can't believe you got the dub. We're all happy. I think if it wasn't going to be one like yourself, you kind of are happy that he won, if that makes sense. Yeah, this guy, even he was just like, yeah, just had 15 2-drop or less, and then 2 giant whales at the top end, and there's kind of nothing in the middle. There's actually kind of nothing in the middle. It's like a small N shape, his curve, or a small U, depending on what you do.
Like a pistol, to be honest, because for those of you who can't see it, if you're listening to the podcast, he's got about 10 2-drops. He's got 3, maybe 4 1-drops, and then it's like 5 or 6 3-drops, 2 4-drops, 2 5-drops, and so it's all in the shape of a gun with a very long butt.
And yeah, he was just like, I just managed to flood the board, and then my 2 space whales won me the game. And actually, I think a lot of the time he said that just putting lightsabers on 2-drop Force units just wins you the game. It presents so much pressure to the board. And I think having a leader that can be a little bit of removal, it's got a nice body on the flip, it holds the lightsaber very well. Obviously, you got to play the deck, but I think we learned quite a lot here about just filling the deck very, very low to the ground and out aggroing pretty much everything. I think he was always the first person to finish the game. every single round was
Yeah,
just the first person up,
you're
just like
right. He came and watched the end of two of
he
my
watched
games.
he watched every game, I think, yeah, because the game was over in like 5-10 minutes, if that, because that's what you do. You just play a 1 drop, play a 2 drop, play a 2 drop, put a lightsaber on it, play two drops, and win the game. Um,
Yeah, he had the
but
constructed lightsaber, didn't he? So when he
yeah,
was able, but he also had Kylo Ren. Was it Kylo
Kylo Ren
Ren's?
as well. Yeah, which
Um,
which doesn't offer a massive buff, but it is just a
it's enough.
buff. It's
Yeah.
it's enough. It's some kind of, it does give you a little bit of toughness boost as well, so it helps on that end. Both the Porgs were pretty good. I think he had a Torrent tech. Is that it as well? The
Yes.
ambushing
Yeah.
unit. Yeah, I think
Yeah.
that's such a great unit. He also had another Praetorian Guard, so being able to have Sentinel, I think, is huge. Yeah, just well played, and yeah, I think we were right with our assessment. TALZIN's a very good leader,
That's right.
and blue green was a very good color combination.
That is true.
So
You make an excellent point that our predictions were largely in line with how the evening went because yeah, it was a win for Towson. Second place was Ahsoka Red, the Ahsoka Red
yeah,
that beat me in round 3, and then third place
yeah.
was me playing green blue with just whichever green blue base and leader combination I could get my hands on effectively.
Yeah,
So there we are. We
yeah.
were loosely right,
I,
and
I think I
yeah.
think so. I think so. Um, I just, yeah, it was a great event, and yeah, like I said, if it wasn't going to be one of us, I'm glad who it was.
Yeah, we should just clarify the guy who won is one of the younger guys at our store,
Yeah,
and we just love this kid. You play against some kids sometimes in some card games, and they can have like a bit of an ego on them if they're good because they haven't learned how to kind of regulate their self sense of ego. And this kid is just he's the most unassuming, most
down to
humble
earth.
kid.
Yeah.
And I think he doesn't realize how good of a player he actually is, and he's very innovative. He doesn't. Again, I've played kids in card games and other card games who just take what's good right now. You know, they go and look at something, they go and net deck something. Whereas, yeah, this
He's playing
guy
double green layer.
exactly. He came to a PQ with us the other week, and he was either going to play Leia ECL or Leia Data Vault, and yeah, he went with Data Vault in the end. But he kind of perfected this Leia ECL that was like a menace. Like if you got hit by an Ayla Secura out of ECL, you were like, oh no, I'm in trouble now.
And even what you said there, Leia, Ayla Secura. Ayla Secura is not a rebel,
Yeah,
but he just made it work.
he made it
He
work.
just made it work. And he played it. That was basically the only deck he played as well. So,
Yeah, he was all in on that. He was very, very
all
convinced of it. He designed it basically himself because I'd not seen it anywhere else. And so we were just when we obviously announced who the winner was, there was a big, big cheer from everybody
yeah.
really just to see this guy get the win. So yeah, big shout out to you out there, and maybe more wins to come in the future. Although we understand that he's going to play Kylo Ren item discard, so
Yeah.
maybe we'll be sick of him in 2 weeks' time. I don't know.
We'll see.
We'll see. We'll see. We'll see. Anyway, that about wraps up our episode on Sealed. So I guess we probably won't talk about this subject again for another few months until we get set 6. But hopefully you guys have enjoyed listening to this. And of course, always important to learn some lessons from these as well. And we will, of course, be able to use this as we prepare for the next one. But until next time, it's a goodbye from me. Anything you want to add, Patrick?
Other than it's a goodbye from me.
There we are. May the force be with you, everybody. See you next time.